Amigos and amigas, welcome to another edition of the Mexican Soccer Show. We're going to just jump right in. No music, no intro. We have a lot to talk about. I am Wiso from FootMexNation.com. This is an hour-long podcast dedicated to all things Mexican soccer, Mexican football. On this edition of Monday Night Football, we're going to be talking all about pick a team. I think we're going to have discussion, 15, 20 minutes on every team at the Liga MX. We can discuss it. It doesn't matter if they're bad, they're good, they're violent, they're paying their players, they're in the Liguilla, their coaches are in turmoil. We can have a lot of talk about Liga MX, and that's what it is because we're getting really close to Liguilla, so we're going to talk all about that. The relegation race, finally some teams are saved, but then the race is on one more week to see who gets relegated, who should get relegated, who deserves to get relegated. Two different topics. And we're going to talk a little bit about El Tri. Also, big summer coming up. April went away. There were no El Tri games in April. Now May comes around. So if you were one of those fans that love to travel, I'm sure you got your travel packages all ready to go. Pancho Yes Army, or you are excited about what's happening. We'll give you all the news in case you forgot the calendar. Lots and lots of games. All that and much more. Maybe take a trip in the Europeos. Guillermo Ochoa. It's nothing new. He's always suffering. Marco Fabian having a great season. Maybe a little Raul Jimenez talk. Hector Herrera. Lots and lots to talk about. Tune in if you're already on the chats. Definitely say hello. Ask us your questions. We'll be looking at it. Hopefully taking some of those topics. And I'm sure you guys already have started. I'm glad to be back. Taking a little bit of a break from the Mexican Soccer Show, but I'm here now. And let's go ahead and get started. Meet our experts from Guadalajara, Jalisco, who in the very first time that he's been in Guadalajara, I can say that he's had two teams in the Liguilla. Tom, I'm sure you're excited. I mean, 9 years in Guadalajara, and I don't think there's been two. Yeah, no, I don't really remember two. How's it going, brother?
Good, yeah, all good. I think it's going to be the second time.
Second time.
Yeah, happy days in Guadalajara. So yeah, Atlas, I think the shock of the season. I think they've been brilliant. I'm sure we'll go on to talk about it. And Chivas just about scraped over the line, but yeah, two teams can't complain for once.
Can't complain. That's how it's usually been when we talk about Guadalajara. It's so sad to be there, but glad to see, especially Atlas and what's coming. Naive in La Ciudad de Mexico, who might not have a Liguilla. I mean, talk about America missing it. What's going on with La Volpe playing a massive game against Pachuca this weekend. It's getting good. It's getting really good. Naive, ¿cómo estás, amigo?
Bien, Wiso. Good to see you back. Saludos a Tommy, a Cesar, and to all the audience that is watching us. It's an interesting map. I mean, right now that Tom was mentioning the two Guadalajara teams in the Liguilla, well, we could see both Monterrey teams, Tijuana, Santos. The north part of Mexico will be jam-packed with Liguilla games by the looks of it. And, it tells you a little bit of how, those teams have a lot of money. They invest a lot in the game and they've seen the fruits of it in the south, over here in the central. Well, it's just Pachuca. Pachuca just barely, the fifth CONCACAF Champions League, beating Tigres, and I think that was remarkable. Now they're heading over here to Azteca, a place where they like to play. Pachuca loves beating America. For some reason, the Martinez family really enjoys getting those wins, and it's going to be great to watch. America is in a must-win scenario. With the tie, they're in, but, they want to get a good win over here at Azteca as well.
Definitely, it's going to be really fun. It's the relegation and the Liguilla. It's what's great about having these playoffs. Cesar, San Diego, yeah. I'm sure Xolos is good. What's happening there? Good time to be in San Diego.
Yeah, although they did have that big defeat against Tigres, a 3-0 loss, but they still can finish in first place. They have a decent opportunity to do that. But it's going to be interesting because, we're probably going to talk about this later, but because of the relegation race, that Friday night match, because we usually go down on Friday nights to go watch Xolos, that's been moved to Saturday, and we're now going to have 5 games at the same time on Saturday. And usually I complain about that. Usually I'm not a big fan of that. But in order to make it more ideal for the Morelia and Chiapas all playing at the same time, weird going down over there on a Saturday instead of a Friday night.
Hey, Yeah, that's right. For you, especially Cholos always plays that Friday night. Always looking to see, but it's getting good, and that's what's good about Liga MX. Anything can happen. Obviously, the teams that are in the Liguilla, we'll talk about that, and the relegations in just 1 minute. But let's jump in with El Tri. Having this conversation with you guys before the show. What is happening with Mexico? Naive brought out about the players. If you don't know, Mexico is playing Croatia on the 27th of May, which is slowly will be here. So we're going to start already hearing some call-ups. But Naive, talk to us a little bit about news. Why is this very, very important this weekend, the last of the Liguilla, of the Liga MX season, and before the Liguilla, for Juan Carlos Osorio to be looking, have the binoculars at the stadium looking at players? Tell us.
I think it's the last week for certain teams. For certain teams, the season is going to be over in a week, basically. And there's certain teams, for example, Pumas will not play Liguilla, and Gallardo has been a consistent call-up. Is he going to go? Where is he going to go? Most likely it will be the Gold Cup. Sepúlveda, who's in Querétaro, got call-ups by Osorio already. Will he return to the picture? León as well will not play in Liguilla, but there's Elias Hernandez, Chapito Montes, Fernando Navarro. There could be options. So it's the interesting part of this week is that is the last week to impress, for certain players. Because the call-ups, we kind of have an idea of who can be in them. But for the confederations, it looks like the base is a European base, and there might be some extra there. But for the Gold Cup, it will be predominantly Liga MX. So of course, for that particular call-up, the players will have this last week to impress. For certain teams, the teams that are not going to be in the Liguilla, of course.
Yeah, I look at some of those other teams. Like, you still have like Pachuca. We don't know if they're going to make it in. Of course, there are always a few young players from Pachuca who might make it in. And you got to mention. There are no guarantees just yet. They're likely to go in, but America and Tigres, you don't know what's going to happen. Liga MX, youngsters from America. You talk about Lainez, Edson Alvarez. It'll be a good opportunity for them, and also for Tigres. You have someone like you have someone like Aquino who will have a good opportunity to shine. And like I said, it looks like they're going to go through to the playoffs, but I don't know. You never know with this this last weekend.
Naive, you said León isn't going to make it. They still have a chance, bro.
No, but it's very.
You guys were laughing at me when I told you that the last part of the season, León is the best team in every Liga MX season. If you're looking at it, I think they only lost 1 out of last 6 games.
Yeah, they needed the win over there in Guadalajara.
They did. Dang penalty! Okay, I'm gonna talk about that. But don't count them off. These panzazos that León makes it in, you'll be seeing. Tigres, Morelia, Pachuca, Veracruz all lose. León wins.
It's a Virgen de Guadalupe miracle for that to happen.
Hail Mary. Well, good. Question, Tom, more in tune with the Mexican national team. Obviously, tell us a little about the structures. There's 2 tournaments that are happening. There's going to be a camp, obviously, for the players that are coming up soon. I think starting around the 14th. That's what I heard. But what's the structure of the players? They're going to call both of them. Is it just one team, the Confederations Cup? What do you think is going to happen for the summer since we have those 2 tournaments?
No, I imagine for the friendly games and then going into the qualifiers and Confederations Cup, it's going to be the best possible squad. I think Osorio, wants to get his best group of players together, and then after that, it's going to be, the assistant manager Pompilio. I think he's going to kind of take a separate group and get that prepared for the Gold Cup. And I'm excited about the Gold Cup. I was a bit, when it first got announced and stuff, it was a bit like, obviously the focus is summer. Is the Confederations Cup. But when you think about some of the players and what the squad could look like, it suddenly becomes quite exciting.
Yeah.
Can you imagine, Edson Alvarez and Cesar Montes in the centre-back role? Even Lainez there. I know he's very young, but, why not? And then, you look around at the league, Orbelin Pineda in the central midfield, and I think there's, Pizarro, some of the Chivas players, Pulido maybe. And all of a sudden, it becomes quite a team kind of with potential. And it was interesting to hear a recent interview by Osorio. I can't remember where it was, but he was saying, I think it was with ESPN, and he was saying, I may be here beyond 2018. And he said one of the reasons for that, or he hinted one of the reasons was that he likes this new group of players, this second generation. So I think the Gold Cup's going to be basically, what's the next generation got? What can this team do? And obviously, if they play in Costa Rica, Honduras, or the United States, then it's going to be absolutely fascinating to see what they can do.
I'm really excited for it. I mean, I like you just mentioned, Tom. When you first heard about it, you're like, dude, it's gonna be a busy summer and it's gonna be a dumb Gold Cup. Who cares about? They should make it every 4 years, not every 2 years. What's going on? But then you start thinking about some of those young players, like you mentioned, and just some of these players who I do feel like a little hyped. But this could be their opportunity, their shine. There's an opportunity to really do well. So I'm really excited about it. And one of the games will be in San Diego, so I'm excited.
Are you guys turning your heads on the Molero tours? I mean, I'm hearing that more games, more opportunity for the players.
That's the young player.
But it's interesting to see. It's interesting to see how Osorio will take this busy summer and compare it to Piojo Herrera in 2015, because I remember in Chile, Topo Valenzuela was in the team, Buoso, the old players. There was a good chunk of veteran players. I remember Salcedo didn't get the starts. He would say, well, Salcedo should have started more games in Chile. And here with Osorio, based on what Tom mentioned and says that, there's this potential to see a U23 side, which would be fascinating to see how these players sort of act in a scenario where they're put in a situation where they have to win, because it will be really critical if, for example, El Tri doesn't make it out of the group. Imagine if that stuff happened, and we've seen it. For example, Hugo Sanchez in the Olympic qualifiers that he had over there a long time ago, he didn't make it out, and he got fired after that. So it's a risky move, but it's a move where Osorio, he's giving opportunities to players like Orbelin, like Gutierrez. It looks like a guy that really looks at those youngsters and gives them motivation to keep raising the bar.
It definitely does. I mean, it's going to be a long summer for Mexico, and especially as a Mexico fan, lots of games coming up. The Confederations Cup, the true test for Osorio from obviously the what happened in June of last year, and I think everyone's just waiting to see. Anything else from El Tri? What can we expect? A little bit about the players, and we'll go into Liga MX, obviously the relegation and all that right now. But let's talk obviously some of the Legionarios. Throw it out there. Guillermo Ochoa. Once again, struggling times. Tom, you've mentioned it a few times in your tweets of what's happening with him. What do you think is the next step for Guillermo Ochoa?
Well, he's 31 years old now. I think it's fair to say his time in Europe hasn't gone very well. He's played for Ajaccio, which is a tiny team in France. He's gone to Malaga, and everyone thought, right, he's going to do really well. But then, he was second choice behind Kameni, and Kameni's a really good goalkeeper, as everybody should know by now. And then goes to Granada and another really small team, and he's relegated again. I mean, that's not the career path they would have wanted, and I don't think his agent or anybody to do with him would have wanted. But luckily, especially because he's a goalkeeper, he's still not very old, and he's got a European Union passport now. So, I mean, this summer for me is absolutely massive for Guillermo Ochoa. It could be career-defining. He needs to make the right move this summer. Obviously, it looks like MLS are going to be in there. I think MLS are going to be in for all the big Mexican players these days. Yeah. I just think just take it as read. They're going to be in there. And it's obviously going to be a choice that is going to have certain kind of attractions. I mean, the money will be good. The lifestyle will be good. He'll probably still get picked for the national team. So, I'm sure he'll think about that. Then come back to Liga MX. Would there be a team for him there? I'm not sure. Again, the money will be good. I'm sure he'll probably make more money in Liga MX than he would at Granada, to be honest, or Malaga. So, but for me, he's still got something to prove in Europe. For me, he must stay there. A better team than he's been in, if possible. In France or in Spain, I think are the ideal leagues. Maybe even the Bundesliga. But, personally, I don't think the Premier League will suit him one bit. I don't think coming out from crosses and the physical side, I think he'll get caught out and quite severely. I mean, you need time to adapt to that kind of league. Like David De Gea is the great example. Top keeper. But the first few months there, he looked completely out of his depth. And I think Ochoa would be in the same kind of boat without really having that time to adapt.
And David De Gea has the height, Tom. Ochoa doesn't have
height. With the curls, he does. With the curls, he does.
One thing I keep thinking about, is that, all right, so you look at, when you think about the three current options, not like the potential options, but the current options, you think of Ochoa, He's about to turn 32. You have Talavera, who's 34, and you have Corona, who's 36. And you think about it in Ochoa's mind when Tom just mentioned Major League Soccer, where he knows that he could potentially go to Major League Soccer and still potentially keep a starting role. And I'm not just saying because Corona and Talavera are playing Liga MX, but also because of their age. And I know they're goalkeepers and they're in their mid-30s, so they're still able to play at a high level. But I do wonder if Ochoa was looking at that, thinking, like, I could move back to North America. And I'm not saying he should do that. I still think he should be playing Europe. And I think that he's had, I mean, if you've been watching some highlights from him, he's done an excellent job. But it's just that Grada's back line is just awful. This season's just been really bad. Yeah.
I just think he's a good goalkeeper. I don't think anybody, let's not go extremes. I feel like the conversation surrounding Ochoa always gets dragged down to these extremes. You've got this, I don't know if it's because he played for America or what.
It's exactly.
But it's like, you got, I mean, exactly, you got this one hand that is like, he's brilliant and, the Brazil stuff, and he can make brilliant saves. Then there's the other side that there are a lot of good goalkeepers in Europe. I know a lot of people blame Ochoa's agent as well. But there's a lot of good goalkeepers in Europe, and a lot of them have got European Union passports. So for that reason as well, like now this summer, it's like this is the big one. I think sometimes we forget that there is a lot. Look at not just the goalkeeper. Sorry, Naib, but look at like kind of the players that Portugal are producing right now. The players Germany are producing.
France.
The players France are producing. I mean, Spain just keeps churning them out.
Lots of talent.
There's a lot of talent out there, and it's difficult for someone like Ochoa. But now with the European passport, like I said, in the bag, this is massive. It's the test now.
And also, just a quick point. He's once again a free agent, and this summer, it's the same scenario he had when he landed in Malaga. And look, a team in Turkey, even a team in Turkey would work for me. I mean, because they still compete in Europa League and Champions League. Look at Muslera from Uruguay over there playing for Galatasaray. If that's an option and it's attractive and it's a possibility to keep playing in Europe, we'll let it be. But of course, like Tom said, I mean, the competition is really high. Look at Claudio Bravo's history over there in Spain. He started Real Sociedad, but it was consistent in Real Sociedad. It was more than 3 years. Then he goes to Barcelona, and everything turns beautiful for that guy. But those are outliers. I mean, it's rare when a South American goalkeeper makes a big over there. Imagine a Mexican. There's no market for a Mexican. Ochoa is the first ever Mexican goalkeeper to play in Europe. And I know Jorge Campos is known everywhere, because of his all the stuff he did, but he never reached Europe. And Jorge Campos is for us a main man. He's our president in FM Full Max Nation. But it's different, playing in Europe than not landing there. And I think that's the challenge for Ochoa, to pave a road for other goalkeepers like Mourinho, he's already over there.
It's a little bit sad, and we keep hearing this story of Ochoa. Like, I mean, I think we've wanted Ochoa to be this grand keeper for a very long time, and it's just not happening. And we've seen, I mean, the stats that are there. He's got the most saves, but the most goals in all of Europe. And we just kind of want to all see him succeed. Would it be that big of a deal if he returns to Mexico and plays in a good team? I don't know. And let's just say like a Tigre, Monterrey, America, and he has consistent, and we see his talent, and he keeps it there where his fans are there. And so what if you didn't do it in Europa? I mean, we've seen players that are migrating from Europe to Mexico. I don't think that would be bad. That's great that he could go to Turkey, or he can go somewhere else where I'm sure he can excel. But I feel like him coming to Mexico, I don't think it's a big loss. Another thing that I want to kind of discuss really quick, and sorry, Naib, is in the Mexican national team, Cesar, you kind of had me thinking Talavera, Chuy, and Memo. Who's next? And this summer, we should have that person that's next. We need to kick either Chuy out or Talavera out, or if it's Ochoa, the second person, we need to already start having that young keeper, 25, 26, getting ready to go to the World Cup as a third keeper, as a confederation as a third keeper, because these guys are done. At least, I mean, they have a few more years, but can you tell me honestly who would be next after those three?
No, two things. First point we saw about Ochoa coming back to Europe, I wouldn't blame him. Because at the end of the day, for any player who takes a risk and goes over to Europe and tries and it doesn't work out, you've got to praise. For me, you praise them because they've gone out the comfort zone. I just think from Ochoa's own personal point of view,
he wants to keep going.
When he looks back at his career, he'll regret it if he comes back to Mexico. I think he needs that move. And now on the other thing, I completely agree with you.
Yeah.
It's slightly worrying. And we think we saw Hugo Gonzalez for Monterrey against Veracruz make a bit of a mistake for Veracruz's goal with Arevalo scoring. I don't know. Obviously, he's the one that a lot of people have talked about. I don't know. Tonio Rodriguez, I really like for Chivas, but now he's on the bench at León. Was it Jesse Rodriguez up there in FC Dallas? But I don't know.
Gonzalez.
Sorry, yeah. I don't know why I always call him Jesse Rodriguez. and then Godinho.
Have you heard anything from Godinho? I mean, I know he's over there, but every time I've seen, I mean,
I guess
the only people that are talking about Godinho is Cesar.
Yeah. Here's the problem.
I'm honest. I'll be honest. Anyone talking about it.
The problem is, I mean, the ones who can immediately take over aren't nearly as exciting or have the potential of Ochoa, and those that might have the potential are still fairly young. And it's just that, like, so you wonder about that transition. I'm wondering what we're going to see during the Gold Cup. That's one of the fascinating positions for me in the Gold Cup. Is like, who are those goalkeepers going to get?
I think Guillermo Ochoa, Talavera, or Ochoa are going to be in the two tournaments, and then whoever's up next. I don't think it's put a young keeper up there. They need some kind of leadership. Why not take the goalkeeper if that's the goalkeeper? Yes, I feel like he's going to split them up.
Yeah, there's that rumor that Corona might be the starter in the Gold Cup because he's the third string. The ones that Osorio usually uses is Ochoa and Talavera, switches them around depending on the opponent that's ahead. But look, man, it's crazy. This league, we're just coming off a weekend where a 44-year-old goalkeeper scored a goal.
Take him to Russia. Take him
to Russia.
It does a little bit there with Pachuca. Alfonso Blanco played the Conca Champions, and he said he blocked the penalty for Eduardo Vargas, but he's 29 already. And Rodolfo Cota is 29. And these are guys, that they're not getting their opportunities at a younger age. They're sort of late, it's late bloomers as is common use over here in Mexico.
Ochoa's been on the national team since forever. I mean, as a third keeper, we've seen Talavera, we've seen, so I feel like we already need to start someone. And it's kind of concerning because we've always said we have plenty of keepers. If there's one position that Mexico's always had amazing since I can remember, is keepers.
That's the problem. We've been saying that for years. Now those guys are in their 30s. We're like, all right, well, we're the next options. Yeah.
I think there still are plenty of keepers. I mean, Copta's done well. Layud, I don't know. Cesar, what do you think of Layud at Tijuana? You've seen him regularly.
I think the problem is he shows flashes of him being a potential brilliant keeper, to be honest. But he's still, I don't know. It's just he's not. You think about what Villar did. Villar, who was like 50,000 years old last season, and he just doesn't embody that confidence that's really needed in net. So I think there is some potential, but just I don't know. He still needs to refine his game. I'm trying to say he needs to refine his game. There's
but at least he's playing. At least he's playing. That's the thing. You know what I mean? I think that's the problem when you look at the Mexican goalkeepers under 25. You're looking at Jesse Gonzalez, and that's probably it. And Layud, which is worrying. That's a worry. But anyways, I mean, Conejo. Bring him up.
There we go.
Conejo, keep it going. All right, guys. Let's just kind of switch it over to Liga MX. Other really things on Mexicans abroad. Just a little concerned about Raul Jimenez, about Hector Herrera. All these guys not getting minutes. And maybe for the next week, we can kind of touch on Chicharito. What is he going to do, especially not getting Champions League next season, which I think is also concerning there. So stuff to kind of think about. We'll put it on we'll talk about next show, and I'm sure we'll be tweeting all about that, but we can continue talking. We need to have a Mexicans Abroad Thursday show that we can do. All right, let's talk about Liga MX, and a little game I like to call Blank surprised me this weekend. Fill in the blank. So you can put a whole storyline, you can put whatever, but it surprised me this weekend. What did? I'll give you a couple of a few seconds to think about what was the one thing that really surprised you this weekend. And for the fans out there that are listening to this show, on the chat, send us your questions. There's literally 15 topics we can talk about for 20 minutes. And like I said, almost every show. But we'll see there. So, guys, what surprised you this weekend? We'll start with Mr. Cesar. It could be an incident. It could be a player. It could be a goal. It could be anything. What is it?
I mean, I guess we got one of the big surprises of the weekend was Atlas getting a win over America, and it wasn't even it wasn't like it was in Guadalajara. It was a win in the Estadio Azteca, and that was what really shocked me the most. And I think what that says a lot too is just, I mean, just kind of restates about how well Atlas has been doing in recent weeks, how well they're charging into the playoffs with a lot of momentum. And there's also an Atlas that's been quite successful without Rafa Marquez, which I think is one of the biggest takeaways here. Is just, Rafa Marquez has been injured, he has those problems, and that's been kind of something that I feel like that's been holding back Atlas. But now Atlas has got this big win, and like I said, heading into the playoffs, you don't know what they might be capable of. And right now they're in third place, so we'll see. That's the big surprise for me, was them able to get that big win over America.
I'm glad that we talked. Let's chat about that. How many games America? When was the last time they lost at the Azteca?
I think it's 17 undefeated games at home.
And America wanting to have this win to secure the Liguilla. It wasn't like we saw the top teams kind of lose. It was a massive win for Atlas. I'm sure Atlas fans are just ecstatic. I don't know any here in the United States, or on Twitter.
I'm not sorry to cut you off, but suddenly, like I was telling my girlfriend, it was like in San Diego, I was like, dude, where do these Atlas jerseys come from? I didn't know where. I see them all over. It's like, where do these come? Where have these been? And
they've been in a closet.
Yeah.
Tom, what's happening? I'm sure the euphoria for Atlas in Guadalajara is madness right now.
Yeah, no, same with Cesar. I was out the shopping center on Sunday, and just Atlas shirts all over Guadalajara, and you usually see them, but I think the fans are right behind this team. They demanded the Liguilla. It's what they've been singing from the stands all season. Give us the Liguilla, and it's almost like it's made the season now for Atlas. But I mean, I think what Profe Cruz has done at Atlas is amazing, because they've not. We've seen increased kind of investment in many of the teams that are in the playoffs, especially the Monterrey teams, Monterrey and Tigres, and Atlas haven't really put much in. I mean, Robles and bringing players like Luis Reyes and Madueña, and they've not spent big money at all. And for Profe Cruz to get this team in the playoffs,
it's spent money.
I think it's remarkable. But anyway, I think more than that, I think that game against America was a test. I tweeted it before the game, and I said, right, what's this Atlas made of? We all know Atlas is almost like a bit like Cruz Azul. When it almost reaches somewhere,
that's
it's
low.
just fail.
That's too low, Tom. Take it easy.
We know they get there and then just can't quite get over the line. And I honestly thought going into these playoffs, going away to the Azteca to play America and then playing Chiapas at home in the relegation battle, I thought, are Atlas going to be able to, are they just going to choke right at the last? And to put on that kind of performance and be 2-0 up within, 17 minutes, not just that, though, it's the modern style of 4-4-2, absolutely hunting down the America, just intense, that hunting in packs. I thought it was very impressive. And I think you look now at the table and the teams that are going to be in the Liguilla, and you look at Tijuana lost, Monterrey lost, Chivas didn't play well and drew, Toluca lost, Santos struggled and drew, America lost. There's nobody winning right now. And I think you look at Atlas and you think, well, if they can win in the Azteca against America, then why can't they do well in the playoffs?
I'm just not ready to go yet, Atlas. I mean, great that he did that, but it's Atlas, and maybe we just haven't seen it.
I mean, Atlas hasn't lost since week 12. I mean, that puts you a little bit the numbers right there.
Atlas hasn't won a championship since the 1950s.
Yeah, but look, the thing with Atlas is also remarkable is like Cesar mentioned, they've dealt with the Rafa Marquez injury. Recently, they've dealt with the Clifford Awagi injury, which I think has been one of the revelations in the season, coming from Granada, not really playing first division football over there in Spain, and he comes to Mexico and right away wins Profe Cruz's trust. I also think the youth and not certainly the youth, but using Mexican players, in specific positions, you can make the argument that Reyes and Madueña have been the best fullbacks in the season, and it's sort of, you haven't had a duo of Mexicans be so great on the fullback since Layun and Aguilar when they play with Piojo Herrera over there in America. Of course, it's different scenarios here, but look, it's anybody's game. I mean, I think that's one of the main conclusions right now. Querétaro beating Toluca and seeing how Toluca is just shrinking, not having that much velocity. I mean, look at Pumas. Pumas started off well with Nico Castillo and the goals and everything, and now they're out of the playoff picture. I mean, look, this is a season where I think Cholos messed up a lot. Yeah, I think I blame, because look, Cholos had the greatest opportunity to knock out Tigres out of this picture, because Tigres is coming off that massive loss against Pachuca, and they were, it wasn't easy to get back after that loss. And Cholos, I don't know, Cholos should have done more.
That was the worst game of the season. I've been watching them every game all season. That was the worst performance.
Yeah, should have taken that game as if it was a final. If they won that match against Tigres at Estadio Universitario, you eliminate Tigres. And now Tigres is alive, and now the Liguilla starts, and everybody sees that team as a dangerous team because it's Tuca Ferretti, because it's the experience, because Gignac can go to the hypnotist and start scoring goals all over. I mean, it's Tigres, yo. You gotta put that in perspective. Cholos could have eliminated Tigres this weekend, and they didn't.
Yeah, I tell you what, if Tigres get in, if they beat Querétaro on Saturday away, for me, they're automatically favourite for the title.
Oh yeah, there's momentum. I mean,
you never know. Also, you never. The seeds don't really matter when you go into the playoffs. It doesn't. We've seen the first place teams struggle, and it's just all you have to do is just get into the playoffs. And I feel that's a separate competition. That's a different tournament all on its own, right there, is the Liguilla.
All right, continuing with our surprise. I don't want to leave you out because we kept going. Naib, go blank. Surprised me this weekend. What surprised you this weekend?
A little bit the Toluca loss. I mean, just to a little put more into. I think Querétaro is a team that's out of the Liguilla. It was a game where Toluca should have reignited sort of a little bit of lost luster. It was an important day for Ciña, and unfortunately, Ciña had an awful day, missed the penalty. Had that error in the midfield because the damn referee got in the way, and then Sambeso got the ball and he just put it right. Amazing goal there. But I think Toluca's this is their centennial. And I thought after that win in Pumas, I thought they were gonna keep picking up, but then they lost against Cruz Azul, and it just went downhill from there. And they're heading into the Liguilla, and I don't think it's a team that really gives you that much confidence heading into the playoffs.
And even though I think they're at the top of the table. Way back early in the season, I said they're my favorites to win the title, but that was way back, and I don't know. Now it's an entirely different season. But if I don't remember correctly which loss they've had, but I feel like Toluca have had some highly questionable losses this season. I feel like they've definitely had a kind of strange results, and I guess that's probably why they're no longer at the top of the table. But yeah, like you said, I think if there is a time for them to step up and shine, it should be during this 100-year anniversary. They got the new stadium. They got a decent squad too. I feel like it's a little underrated with some of their names there. But yeah, no, I think that was definitely a surprise result. But I mean, that Sunvestel put on a show with that golazo. So
good to say. I feel like Toluca is just kind of like we're here already, and they'll turn it up. I also picked them as my favorites to win the whole thing. But whoever gets that right, Tom, surprise for you. Maybe I can put it in. Tell you a couple ideas. How about there's a violence? Did that surprise you? In 3 different stadiums? No, I'm sure that didn't surprise you because it's Max this problem. But go ahead, give me your surprise, Tom. I
was going to say Veracruz beating Monterrey. I thought it could be the end for Veracruz, to be honest. I thought this was the weekend that they might be going, dropping to the bottom of the relegation table, but they're basically safe now because even if they lose against Tijuana on Friday, the goal difference just means that they're safe. So, it's 4 wins in the last 6 games. I mean, that's how you avoid relegation. I really didn't think they'd do it. I didn't think they had the squad to do it. But, they've got it together. And it's not the best run club, but it looks like it's staying up. And obviously the relegation now between Morelia and Chiapas. Chiapas 1 point, 1 point behind. So, yeah, I think that surprised me, the way Arevalo as well celebrating with the Tigres fans, they're doing the Locos y Libres, Libres y Locos, the hand signal thing, and it was just where did that come from? I know he played for Tigres, and I would never associate him with being such a hardcore this Uruguayan who played for a couple of years, being such a hardcore Tigres fan. It was just a bit strange, but I don't know. I think. quick mention Santos. I think Cesar on the chat there is saying...
Not me, the other Cesar.
Cesar,
Yes.
Matacayo.
Cesar Gonzalez.
Cesar Gonzalez.
Who said, let me get to this quote because we were all reading it. You guys barely ever talk about Santos. I understand that they have a young team and they haven't really been able to keep a lead a lot of the times, but they still have only lost one game. They're the Paraguay of Liga MX. No, I added that last part, but let's talk about Santos just for Cesar right now. Tom.
Yeah, just quickly, Santos, I think Chepo's done a really good job. I think a lot of a team that's not gone big on investment in the players. But, I think Santos is the new youth system. What we're seeing this season is Santos become one of those teams like Pachuca, like Chivas. They're right up there now in terms of youth production, and they're giving the young players the chance. And I think Chepo de la Torre gets a lot of stick, a lot of complaints from a lot of people, but he gives young players chances. He did it at Chivas, and he's doing it now at Santos. And like Cesar said, one loss there in 16 is unbelievable. Very few teams managed to do that in the Liga MX over the season. And it's a beautiful little mix of young Mexicans with foreigners. I mean, I think especially the Mexicans, Jorge Sanchez, the right back, I think he's got a good future. Ulises Rivas, I was hearing last week, that he's got interest. He's got teams following him from Portugal, Spain, and France and Germany. So this is a player who he's just completely gone under the radar. He does nothing flashy. He's not doing the crazy tricks and scoring amazing golazos so that we're all talking about him every week. He just runs a lot. He runs a lot. He's very clean with the way he plays the ball. He distributes it very, very well. And he's positionally good as well in the holding midfield role. So, Santos has done very well, but Ulises Rivas only gets to be that player that he is now if Chepo de la Torre gives him that chance to become the starter. And not only that, they've done it while making the playoffs. And to be honest, I didn't have Santos necessarily in the playoffs this season.
I actually have Santos as one of the dark horses. I mean, it can either be Santos or it could be Atlas, as we talked a while ago. The thing that makes Santos special is this coach, with Chepo de la Torre, who's really, really careful with the decisions, especially heading into the tight scenarios, 180-minute series. He tends to shine there. And I think there with Tom mentioned also another youngster, Sandoval, in the attack, has gotten a lot of assists and also, liberty to play because in the back he has Rivas and he has Osvaldo Martinez, who has been a great addition.
He's been brilliant. He's absolutely brilliant. And just quickly, if you want to stop Santos Laguna, stop Osvaldito. And I think that'll anyway. Sorry.
Yeah. I mean, and that's the type of player that America needs right now. America doesn't have that generator in the midfield that is able to give that last pass to the forwards. It's strange that he wanted to leave. I mean, but that's the case here in America. And it's interesting. The whole season, Chepo has played with Giannini, Jonathan, and Furch. Furch actually has been a letdown, but he's constantly getting minutes. But the two main ones that have been the pillars in the attack for Santos have been Jonathan and Giannini. Giannini's playing at the same level that he played in the 2015 Clausura when they won the title with Caixinha. So it's a team that has 10 draws, right? I think it's 10 draws.
Yeah, I think it's 5 wins, 10 draws, and 1 loss. And really,
go to Cesar.
And going on what you guys, I mean, we haven't even mentioned. I mean, this guy hasn't gotten a lot of minutes, but this could be. We have someone like they're also producing someone like Ronaldo Cisneros. I know he might not make an impact in the immediate future for the Mexican national team or for in Liga MX, but that's someone to kind of keep an eye on. That could be the next great Mexican striker. I don't want to overhype him. I probably should have said the next great Mexican striker.
I see.
Take that away. Someone to keep an eye on.
I see.
The next Peralta.
The next Peralta. There you go.
I see like a Cisneros, everyone's surprised that he goes to Europe and then does something like a Tecatito at a really, really small club and then just kind of works his way up. Be
good. Yeah, quick final thing about Santos. Specifically up front, I was watching the game the other day and obviously Jonathan Rodriguez, Giannini, Naib said he's back to his old level. And Furch, obviously, he's been a bit disappointing. I just think if those three can get it together, I don't know, the limits for Santos Laguna in the Liguilla. I mean, Giannini, for me, is the most frustrating player in this league because he's almost unplayable. Like he does some things, and you're like, well, how are you going to take the ball off a player like that? But then he'll like do something amazing, just pass it out of play or something. I mean, he's so close to being one of the very, very best players in the Liga MX, and he can be on his day. He can destroy teams. Furch as well. If he can capture some form going into the Liguilla, and Rodriguez, if those three can get it together, then there's no reason why Santos can't mount a serious bid for the title and start changing these draws into wins.
Good way to point out. Everyone kind of saying on the chat, Santos is solid, but needs a striker to get hot.
Look, and then one quick thought here. They haven't lost with any of the Liguilla zone teams. I mean, they drew against Tijuana, against Monterrey, against Chivas, against Atlas, against Tigres, and they beat America. So it tells you a little bit how Chepo has changed the team and how this is a Chepo Santos already. I mean, and the guy already knows how to win titles in Mexico. He did it with Chivas, he did it with Toluca, and he's really hoping on doing it with Santos because that'd be the greatest return for his career.
And a great defense can take you quite far in Liguilla. Just saying. Yeah, just saying.
I'd say all the sports, Cesar. I mean,
it's not any sport.
Great defense. As a defense wins championships, I think it's in any sport, brother.
And if you score goals, you might win the game.
There you go. Good job. Well, there you go, Cesar. See, we talk about Santos, brother. Thank you for giving us that. One quick question, and we'll talk about this. Let's talk about who's going to be in the Liguilla. It's last week. I don't see that big of a surprise. In my personal, I think Tigres is going to make it. America is going to make it. I don't see Morelia, Pachuca, which is a big letdown. Pachuca doesn't make it. The CONCACAF champion, the team that beat Tigres, not in the Liguilla, but that's Liga MX for you guys. Anyone differ on that prediction that it's Tigres and America making it in the 8 for Liguilla?
Negativo.
Yeah.
No, yeah. I mean, you would say that if you didn't know what the schedule was like, you'd say like, oh, maybe Pachuca, and then you look at the schedule and you realize that Pachuca's taking on America. And America's going to be at home. And
Pachuca needs to win by 2 goals, right?
I believe so, because I believe it's a 1 goal. Then America would go through on goals scored.
Yeah, goals.
So it'd be completely even on goal difference.
And it depends also what happens with Morelia, no? Because Morelia, I think Morelia is going to Monterrey, and of course Monterrey hasn't lost a home game over there in Estadio Bancomer this season, if I'm not mistaken. I mean, it's just difficult to see Morelia get a win over there. But the thing with Pachuca, because last week I was there in Pachuca and sort of felt what the city was feeling. They were so immersed into this, winning this Conca Champions. I mean, they let everything. Keep in mind, in the last game they played against Atlas over there in Estadio Jalisco, they took a B squad, took a bunch of youngsters, and they were, okay, let's rest these players for the final. Mm-hmm. They did that achievement of getting the Conca Champions, and now they're sort of like relieved. So it really doesn't bother them if they don't make the Liguilla. However, I mean, if this is a good Liguilla for a team like Pachuca, because they're, like we said, there's no favorites. I mean, if Pachuca can sneak in, they automatically become one of the contenders because of the defense they have. Omar Gonzalez, Oscar Murillo have been one of the best defenses in the league.
Definitely, and Cesar Hernandez has said, he's on record saying, if you got a good defense, then you got a good chance in the Liguilla.
There you go. Set it in stone, man. Set it in stone. I bet you the team that wins it all has a good defense. Let it be known.
And look, America
letting it be known.
The deficiencies in America have been noticeable for quite some time. It's just that America has been getting some wins that you're like, oh, those were lucky wins. They were lucky with that result. But the last 2 games against Santos and Atlas, you really see how easy it is for them to beat them, because America really doesn't have a central defensive midfielder, a natural one. It's William Da Silva, who's mainly a winger, and that makes it easy for opponents to get on them. And look, if Chucky brings his A game, if Franco Jara, Reta Vizcaya come sharp in Azteca, I do see Pachuca beating America.
La Volpe have anything to do with this weekend? I mean, is there something there? I mean,
Sorry, Luis. I really put you off there. Come on, what are you gonna say?
No. That's my question. I'm seeing the game, and then La Volpe, just throwing La Volpe into the mix in this. Like, what can he really do, and will he make an impact to this game? From we've been seeing, it's not the happy La Volpe that at this point of the career in the Liguilla, making it on the bubble. I want to say America is going to be okay, but I could just definitely see this as kind of La Volpe's, and especially with what people have been talking about Piojo there. So.
Yeah, I mean, I think you expect America to not lose by 2 goals. They've not, against Atlas they lost, but before that they hadn't won. They hadn't lost in the Azteca in 17. So it's a massive task for Pachuca to do it. You'd have to put America as favourite to make the Liguilla. But I just think moving on from the La Volpe and what you said about is Miguel Herrera going to be in charge as manager next year? But then off the field as well with Peláez, the sporting president's gone as well, and you think. What's going on at America? We know, the team, like Maib was kind of insinuating then, with William de Silva playing the contención, and you think that all's not quite right at America right now. And I think this off season is big for them.
Yeah, and
I think they need to get the house in order to make the right choices.
It did affect them, I think, in the mental aspect that the players were a bit confused what was going on, because Peláez said it earlier this week that he wanted to end the season with the team together and to lift a trophy, But at the end, all of a sudden, 48 hours later, he reports that he's leaving for good. And that, I think, left a soft spot or a weak spot in the team heading into this match against Atlas. Atlas played the 45 minutes fantastically. I mean, if you saw that match, you saw that one team had a lot of intensity and the other team didn't know what exactly was going on. And I think that's where Atlas took advantage. And then in the second half, with the inclusion of Lainez, who showed a lot of heart, 16-year-old keeps surprising every now and then. It's just that the impact that he had, it was so noticeable. And but you can't rely on a 16-year-old. But that's what America has left because of the injuries. Renato's not available. Cecilio Dominguez is not available. Romero is sort of like a ghost when he's on the pitch. If you have that, it's hard to win games. And against the Pachuca side that is really motivated right now, because they won the Conca Champions, it's going to be a tough opponent.
And all that said, I think we've seen a lot of low-scoring results from America in their matches. And from what I've seen that Pachuca match, I think it's going to be a draw. I think they're going to stumble into the playoffs. That's what I'm thinking is going to happen. But yeah, no,
and Leon squeezes right in there with that tie.
But,
all right, let's talk Tigres.
Quick one on Tigres. I think, I think I'd be surprised if they don't win against Querétaro.
Yeah.
I just think it's almost like they've had so many games and they had no rest on the off season. We've all talked about all that. Everybody knows it. But I just think now it's almost like light at the end of the tunnel. Like they can see like the summer vacations. You know what I mean? They know that they've got 4 weeks now. They've had a week off this week, full week. I'm sure they won't do much training. They'll just be recovering, make sure they're all back fully fit. And I think that now they can see what's ahead of them. Every game is a Liguilla game now. They beat Querétaro straight into the Liguilla off the back of 2 victories. I think Tigres, all of a sudden you watch, the game that they played against Xolos, and you think this is a team that can destroy any other team. I'd love to see a Clásico Regio in the Liguilla. Yeah. I thought Mohamed was tactically brilliant a couple of weeks ago. I thought he really did one over on Tigres. He almost showed as well Pachuca how to play against this Tigres team. It's like that's the blueprint. And I'd love to see if Tigres have got an answer to that, because we know how Monterrey are now going to play against Tigres. So, Tigres.
Especially since now there's a lack of that CONCACAF Champions League title. And then there's just something about Tigres where you think that, especially with Ferretti, that he's going to get it right at this moment when they need to click, the need to get mine. I assume that it's just going to happen. I know that might be wrong. Who knows? They might not make it, but it might make sense for them to get that last spot and sneak in with a convincing win, especially after that one against Xolos. The way you saw them play against Xolos, I know Xolos weren't at their best. Xolos have their defense has been a little off due to injuries, but it's just Tigres look like a championship squad right there. They look so good. They're just playing their Tuca ball. They're dominating possession. Tuca ball. I call it Tuca ball. Yeah, you call it Tuca ball. Yeah, it's Tuca ball. But yeah, no, I can't imagine them not making the playoffs tonight. I would assume that Ferretti is going to play some good ball.
Yeah. Let's see Querétaro. And one thing to point out with what happens, especially in the last 3 weeks with certain clubs, they got this squad, right? And there's a lot of players in those squad that are playing for their contracts. And I saw that in that Toluca Querétaro game. Edgar Benitez was flying. That guy was flying with the ball. Zambeso scored phenomenal goals because they wanna have their contract next season. Querétaro is a team that is really that's going to change a lot in the draft now with Jaime Lozano as coach. And there's a lot of players in that team that are probably going to leave. But if they're able to impress in that match against Tigres, they beat Pachuca at Querétaro 3-0 actually. So I'm not going to say that Tigres and Pachuca, but there are two top teams. Let's see how Querétaro does. Recently, Querétaro played against Tigres in the Conca Champions. Bucetich was still coach. And I remember those games, they weren't easy for Tigres. I think Bucetich did a good job there, and it's basically the same Querétaro team still there. But, when you look at common sense, like Cesar says, the Tuco ball should be able to defeat Querétaro, but, it's unpredictable. Liga MX, no?
I think Zelarayan as well. I just think he's a top player, and I think that Tigres almost missed out by not having him play more in the CONCACAF Champions League in the big games. I mean, for me, Zelarayan is a top player. I wouldn't say one of the very best in the league, but he'd be a starter, I think, for every single other club. Put it that way. And the fact that he's been on the bench and then he comes on against Xolos and he dictates the game. I think that it's don't know. Maybe Tigres are also finding that as well, finding that the team, because with Eduardo Vargas coming in. I don't know. There's almost too many players. There's almost it's too they've lost that. And just quick one other thing about is Dueñas. I think he's been brilliant this season. Probably the Tigres' best player. And yeah, I mean, it's another. We talk about players who could go to Europe, and I know Dueñas isn't a young Mexican player, but for me, Dueñas plays in a decent Spanish team quite comfortably. I don't think he's technically as gifted as most midfielders in Spain, but his work rate and his tackling and the way he goes up and down.
He's versatile. I think that's something to keep in mind too, is how versatile he is.
100%.
Oh, fast forward 2 years ago, talking about Dueñas. Man, we've come a long way. All right, really quick. We talk about the top 8. Pachuca and Pumas. I would have told you at the beginning of the season we're not going to make Liguilla. That's a big surprise. Huge. I mean, that might not make it just kind of where we're at. I know we're running out of time, but really quick on the relegation. Who do you guys have? Chiapas?
Yeah. I can't help but say, I mean, obviously Veracruz, just goal differential, they're fine. They're okay. But I'm guessing it's going to be Chiapas. Right now they're 1 point behind Morelia. And just in the form that Atlas is in, it's just, I can't imagine Chiapas saving themselves. So I'm going to say it's Chiapas.
Is that what the club needs, Tom?
Don't know. Don't get me started on this.
That's what I'm telling you. We can definitely just talk. The political, the paychecks, the violence.
They've not paid the players. There's a lot of political links, reported political links with the people owning the club, and then the state government, and then you've got the violence going on, which doesn't look good. But there's another side to this, and for me, it's like you look at the region of Chiapas and that southern Mexico towards the Guatemalan border, and it needs a team. It's socioeconomically, it's behind the rest of Mexico. It deserves a team. It needs a team. I think it's important that it has a team. But what you don't want to see is a team run like this Chiapas team is run. It just doesn't look good. It's not good for anybody, really. How many players have Chiapas produced during the Premier League? It should be a hub of youth producing young players from that region. And it's just not doing that. It's just a bit of a joke of a team right now. But Tuxtla Gutierrez and that region deserve a proper football team. And if that means going down and new ownership, or I'm not sure what it involves, but that's just my take on Chiapas. I just think that
buying a new club, moving that club over.
Oaxaca or Tuxtla Gutierrez should have a first division team. But I don't know. It's interesting. I spoke to Alejandro Iraragorri, the Santos Laguna president, the other day. Well, a couple of weeks ago now, and he said but it's actually on the table. They're talking about different ways the relegation could work in the league.
Yeah.
And that for me is fascinating. I think one of the reasons is that, I think they're debating between going full out relegation or even just closing relegation and just having these are the franchises MLS style. Interesting.
Very interesting to see. All right, so yeah, Chiapas. I feel like when I asked, I think it's going to happen. And
Chiapas have to win as well. They have to beat Atlas, whereas Morelia couldn't get a draw.
Yeah,
and there's a pass there, isn't there, Tama? Because Profe Cruz used to coach Chiapas, so there's a history there. But it's just a team that has not acted adequately. I mean, I think if not for footballing terms, this team should be relegated. It's for other things, And
I think all of Liga MX will be happy of it. I mean, I think FMF will be happy.
Yeah, because there's this deal about the Chargoy and they got to sell one of the teams, and supposedly it was going to be Chiapas, but no one has given a good bid supposedly. So I mean, it's a team that sort of, like you said, it solves a lot of problems for the FMF if Chiapas is relegated.
I think those refs are going to be ready.
only Veracruz stays.
Only Veracruz.
Oh, it should be Veracruz. You can relegate two teams, 3 teams. We should do.
I'd like to.
3 teams up. 3
teams
down, 3 teams
2
up.
and 2. Or you could do that weird German thing where you have the third to last place team face off in a relegation playoff against like the second. If we were to do something like that.
Yeah, no, imagine the interest around those games as well.
Who's coming up in the Ascenso?
We might have Juarez. I'll be down to have Juarez back. That'd be kind of cool.
Juarez, Dorados, and Puebla, Lobos Buap.
Where's Steve Graff, everybody?
I'd be down to have Juarez. Another border town team. That'd be great. I'd love that.
FC Juarez, dude. FC Juarez always tweets.
Look, the Lobos Buap is actually an interesting story because Rafa Puentes Jr. is the coach over there in Lobos.
Is he really?
And he just left. He was an analyst in Fútbol Picante, and he got the job offer in Lobos Buap. And right now, they're all of a sudden in the final. I mean, it's a remarkable story there. It will be interesting to see how that changes the map of things for the city of Puebla to have maybe potentially two teams in Liga MX. And there was also rumors that Hugo Sanchez wanted to buy Puebla. So, it makes it an attractive kind of place. And actually, there's a lot of excitement over Lobos Buap. There's a lot of people that are cheering at Lobos Buap because they're actually winning. And of course, the other team that's in first division, it's a sad story for the most part. It's just avoiding relegation. That seems to be the only objective every year. And this team is actually winning something right now, no? 2
teams in Puebla. All right. Really quick, we just we're about time off, but I'm gonna play a little game called Buy or Sell. No, Agree or Disagree. We're gonna give you. I thought about five different topics, and you're just gonna go agree, disagree. If you want to add something to it, you can add something to it. But here we go. Cesar Montes moves clubs after the season.
Disagree.
Yeah, disagree.
Agree.
Oh, let's hear why.
Take it. Why, Naeem?
I think he is this type of player that attracts any European side. I think Benfica was enamored with his performance when they came over to Monterrey for the inauguration. I mean, he's the guy that scored the first goal in BBVA Vancomer. He'll play in the Gold Cup. He already played on the Olympics. I mean, if Salcedo left to Fiorentina after the Olympics, I think Cesar Montes could have gone as well because there was a good pair of center backs. And no, he's definitely, I think he is the type of player that quietly, without saying that much, he doesn't speak to the media or anything. He could land in Europe this summer.
All right.
I like it.
All right, next, agree, disagree. Tigres wins this Liga MX bicampeonato.
Agree.
Disagree.
Agree. I mean, really quickly on the agree. I mean, we've been talking about it. Just the Liguilla. It's a different tournament. Once you make it into that top 8, it's just like it's an entirely different competition. It's just the most talented roster. The most talented roster.
Couldn't be Pachuca in the Coca Champions.
No, it doesn't matter. This is an entirely different competition. It's just, and you got Tuca leading the, someone who's been able to incorporate, his style, his idea into a squad for so long. So I say, yeah, I wouldn't be surprised.
Okay, we'll keep going. Piojo, new manager, America next season.
Agree.
All right, there's no controversy there.
Yeah.
Let's get a little more controversy. Diego Lainez will be in the national team this year.
Disagree.
Agree.
Agree. I would go agree too.
There you go. Why, guys? No, you know what? Forget it. Tom, why? I mean, he's...
I don't think it needs to be rushed this year. I don't think that.
You don't need...
Not that Mexico don't need him, but just that he's still got a lot to prove at league level. And at the end of the day, you look at the second half, the start of 2018, and if he is a serious candidate for the World Cup, which he's still got a lot to do, especially when you look at the players in his position, then you can bring him in, and he can be that kind of new face just before the World Cup, next year.
Yeah,
I can see him as a Gold Cup backup. I'm not sure if he's going to get minutes. He'll probably get like 5 minutes in like the third group stage match.
Look, this is what I'm gonna tell you. I mean, when I see Osorio and the decisions that he's made as a national team coach, I do see this as a possibility, mainly because he's left-footed. And remember, if Candido Ramirez made the national team, I think Lainez should make it. Because we saw in that Atlas game when he moved to the left flank, he did a lot of damage. I mean, it was pretty obvious how effective that move was in the tactical movements that La Volpe made. And look, he's going to learn from a good, they're going to take care of him. He's not going to be a starter in the Gold Cup, but gives him a privilege, to see where he's going. But I do get it. I mean, for us, it's kind of scary to do these kind of things because in Mexico, we think, lo están inflando, you're getting too big. Because it never works. I mean, we see La Momia, for examlo, Momia Gomez, and how he disappears.
No one thought that kid was going to be good, man. Come on.
Pero they use that example and they say, no, la prensa lo infla mucho, the press picks him up big time. But the kid is special. I mean, he has something special that needs a lot of work to do. I mean, it's still early stages.
You can see that in the last game. You could definitely see that in the last game.
Okay. I put him in against Pulisic against the United States. Why not? All right. More serious. Yeah. Agree, disagree. Paco Gemes stays in Cruz Azul for next season.
Agree.
That's a tough one. I'm gonna have to say agree too. I
actually agree too. Right? Give him a year. Let him keep working. I mean, the team isn't playing badly. It's not like the team.
The thing is, who they're gonna get. I mean, are they going to get a better manager than Paco Gemes? I don't know. I mean, they've been everywhere, Cruz Azul. They've had the Mexican manager. They've got the foreign manager. It's like at some point you got to stick with one of them.
And the thing here that scares Cruz Azul is that they are going to enter relegation talk seriously now. I mean, this is part of their reality. It's no longer let's make the playoffs and let's win the championship. No. It's avoiding relegation. And then Paco Gemes has a bad history with relegation. The thing here also that has to depend a lot on what happens with Gemes is if Yayo de la Torre stays as, sporting president, whatever the role he has, because he's the one that brought him over. If Yayo de la Torre is fired, I think Gemes would also leave with him. But that's stuff that could happen in the next weeks. We'll have to see.
Yeah.
Also linked with, I think, Valencia as well. So, I don't know. He's got so much stick off the press in Mexico that I wouldn't be surprised from his point of view. He got an offer from Spain again because he has been, he's not been treated the best, to be fair. Then I wouldn't be surprised if he goes either. But I'd say I said he's going to stay. So
he doesn't seem to be enjoying himself, does he? Right now,
exactly.
He doesn't seem to be enjoying himself at all. Yeah.
All right. So two more. Number one, the first one out of the last two, Saldivar moves to Europe soon.
Disagree.
Yeah. Disagree.
And it's unfortunate. I think the injuries have prevented the jump, actually. I mean, let's be serious. I mean, he got that injury in the last season, couldn't play in the Liguilla in America because of nose. I think the pro fractured his nose or something. Now another injury comes and it prevents him. I think Saldivar, when he's on, he's a special talent.
Yeah.
Okay. And last, I'm going to throw one more in there before the last one. Chicharito moves clubs after this.
I agree. I just think that if Bayer Leverkusen not, I think Chicharito not only wants to do that but needs to do that. I'm not saying he's moving to Major League Soccer, but I think he should be looking elsewhere. And he's still a hot target. It's not like I'm not saying he should be playing at the upper level. I'm not saying he should be playing for Bayern Munich. I'm not saying he should be playing for Barcelona. But I still think there are a lot of talented, decent European teams who should be wanting Chicharito.
Okay. Everybody, who else?
Oh, Tom doesn't agree. I saw the face, Tom. I saw the face.
Agree, disagree?
I don't know. I just can't. I'm on the fence. I don't know. No, I mean,
You have to pick, or you'll never be on the show again.
okay. Agree. But this is the thing with Chicharito. His contract runs out in 2018. He's not playing Champions League next season, obviously, with Bayer Leverkusen. And it's like, if Bayer Leverkusen want to get any money for him, it has to be this summer. Because obviously in Europe, it's got the Bosman ruling. So a player, Chicharito, will move for free in summer of 2018. And I think Bayer Leverkusen, from their point of view, if they did want to cash in, and I'm sure there'll be Premier League clubs interested in him. I don't think there's any doubt about that. He's proven in the Premier League. Premier League clubs have got loads of money as well. And he only signed for 7 million, I think, euros. So I think there is there's a decent chance he does move. But I'd be surprised if he moved to MLS right now.
Yeah.
Imagine if Manchester City makes an offer. Do you think he's going to accept it? Because, you know, the United.
Yeah, I think he would. I don't think he's too,
Yeah.
you know. I think he would.
The Chicaritos will come back. All right. And the last question, agree or disagree. Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. takes a beating for 11 rounds, and on the 12th round, knocks Canelo out and spoils everybody's predictions.
Agree.
Disagree.
I don't know, man. I don't watch boxing, dude. I'm out of the loop, dude. I'm out of the loop. I've been seeing it hyped up, and I'm like, cool. I know his dad. That's it.
Canelo wins.
Canelo wins. I mean, obviously, Julio Cesar Chavez he's bigger guy, so if he hits Canelo, he's always going to be that question mark. But for me, it's like it annoys me actually because it's like some of the promotions, like, you know, the battle of Mexico's two best, and I'm like, that's so disrespectful from like Mexico's other world champions. Julio Cesar Chavez hasn't fought for a couple of years, and he's just failed to make weight before. He doesn't really take the sports too seriously. He is bigger than Canelo, so you've always got like a chance, but Canelo is just on a different level.
Who cares more about their sport? Carlos Vela's football or Julio Cesar Chavez for boxing?
Carlos Vela, that tells its own story.
No. The only thing I'm waiting to see is that the JCC could definitely take a lot of punches. So be kind of, I mean, like that guy can take a ton of punches. And
are you going Wiso or no?
No. I gotta save up for the all the summer with the Mexican national team, man. No.
In Vegas or?
Actually, I
have no. I don't know anything about these.
Actually, I really don't know, guys. Where's it going to be at? Is it is it Dallas or Vegas? I would think it'd be Vegas.
Yeah, see, the journal's going to Vegas. It's in Vegas.
Okay. All right. Hey, these guys, everyone's going. People are saying Chavez, Canelo, blast the guy till next week. Canelo. Good thing to talk about a little bit about.
De La Hoya in round 3. That's what I'm saying.
De La Hoya.
Round 3.
I don't know. All right, guys, it's been an amazing show. We talked a lot. Was there one team we didn't mention?
Necaxa.
Everybody.
Necaxa. I love how you just knew that. Like, it was just like,
I can't believe you knew that because I think
you've been like dying to speak about Necaxa. When
and that's all
you mentioned Necaxa.
He's like, I have all my notes on Necaxa, guys.
They got a three-game winning streak actually. 3-game winning streak. Necaxa.
Oh, there you go.
And they're playing Chivas.
There you go.
Okay, cool. Well, there we go. All right, guys. I know we went a little bit over. Thank you to everyone that's on the chat. Thank you to lots of stuff going on with John, Samuel, Amy is there, Eduardo, Victor, Albert. Everyone's kind of chiming in, talking all about Johnny Rico also in there, answering questions all about America. Quotes next trophies EU. So overrated like Chofi. So if you want to go back and read great conversations about Mexican soccer, well, I won't say great because I haven't read them all, but go back into the chat. It's definitely guys going back and forth. This has been another edition of the Mexican Soccer Show. We appreciate you guys coming on and spending a whole hour with us to talk about the Mexican national teams, everything that has to do with Liga MX and Mexicans abroad. We appreciate all the tweets and all the questions. Sorry we can't get to all of them, but obviously keep sharing it, keep listening to us. And big summer coming up for all of us with Mexican soccer. Keep the hashtag Liga MX in English. Keep going. I think it was trending. Someone was tweeting at me that was trending over the weekend, Liga MX Inc. So everyone will keep talking about it. Cesar, muchísimas gracias. Naib, and obviously Tom. We'll see you guys on another edition of the Mexican Soccer Show on next Monday at 7 p.m. Pacific. Hasta la próxima.
Cool. See you around.
Adiós.